Welcome to Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 here on Municipal Affairs. With October 20th fast approaching, the race for municipal office across the province is heating up. From every corner of the province, candidates are stepping forward for mayor, reeve, and yes, even councillor. And they're stepping forward with ideas for stronger communities, smarter growth, and brighter future. Today we are turning our attention to the City of Leduc, Alberta, where we are chatting with Shawn Raymond, who is running to be one of the next city councillors for the City of Leduc. Shawn, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself and talking about your bid to become one of the City of Leduc's next city councillors. Before we talk about the issues in your campaign, I want to talk about you and get to know about the man behind the persona a little bit, if you don't mind. Got to start with a simple question I've asked most people who's ever come on this show. Where's your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Shawn?
Oh, I love that question. I've been listening to your podcast, so thanks for starting it off with that. My sense of duty for service has definitely come from it being ingrained from a child. My mom was the president of the Leduc Minor Soccer Association, and volunteering became a natural born tendency for me, my twin brother, and my little sister. We were known as the Twin Raymond Boys and Brianna running across Leduc with my mom when she ran for council back in 2008, through all of the volunteerism that she's done in and around the community. So it's really been a lifelong pursuit to serve the community. And I think the last most recent 2 years of me investing myself in the community, joining a bunch of boards, and being present in my community has made this call to action so natural for me.
So what happened 2 years ago where your call to action kind of became more than just a call to action, but a duty to action?
Honestly, 2 years ago, my call to action basically got started because I was a business owner. I went from operating within another business to building my own brick and mortar business. And if you've never done it, you've never done it. So I needed to live that and I needed to understand how to go about the permit, how to go about the liability insurance, how to actually build a business, how to understand a budget, how to make sure that I understood all the pieces of not only a business, but how a business operates in my municipality. So 2 years ago, I opened what was formerly known as SR Training here in Leduc, and I operated it for 2 years. It was a fantastic learning opportunity, and I took so many memories and so many growth points from that, and basically realized that there were gaps in the community that stopped clients from being able to receive training, whether that was the lack of child programming or child care, whether that was parents not having the what is now known as disposable income to invest in a personal trainer, not knowing that the Leduc Rec Center has a free 8 to 9 program for kids at the Leduc Junior High. So it was recognizing that there were a couple of gaps in the community that I wasn't even aware of that were already in place, that I wanted to be that connection piece for my community. My mom and dad have raised me to be very well groomed and to very well represent everybody. Coming from a Caribbean background, seeing what third world living is like, it humbled me growing up, knowing that every time I came back to Canada from my vacation in the Caribbean, I was coming back to first world luxuries where people would still complain. So it was very, very fundamental for me to understand how I could help the people in my community here to not make them feel destitute or not feel like they didn't have someone to call on. So my biggest role is serving the community.
So what's happening now in 2025 that you thought to yourself, this is Shawn's time. This is Shawn's time to put my name on the ballot because 2 years ago we were living in a completely different world, and now it's 2 years later in 2025, and you've decided I could have waited 4 more years, but no, I'm going to do it now. What is going on in 2025 that you believe that your voice would be best to represent the people of Leduc on City Council?
I think I'm going to take this a step back further than 2 years, then, about 3, 4 years ago. And this is kind of a heated topic right now in politics, is just the DEI inclusivity, the ability to create safe spaces for everyone and anyone, no matter which walk of life you come from. And 4 years ago, the city of Leduc, through administration, installed a Pride crosswalk in our community without the consultation of the Leduc queer community and without proper consultation. It was an amazing project and it did create that awareness in our community, but it ruffled a lot of feathers without what I feel at that point was the needed community engagement to basically allow that to go through. And it's been a constant thing known as the rainbow guy in my community as I run for campaign here, but it's more than just the rainbow, it's more of creating that inclusivity. So 4 years ago, when that happened, when people started doing burnouts on the Pride crosswalk, it became very clear that people needed a space, which led to the passion of opening a business to host spaces and events for that community, which then led me to understand that operating in a community where you always are scared or not able to connect and collaborate with other business owners puts you and the whole community at a disservice to each other. So that's where I decided to step back into community. I invested my business into the Leduc Rec Center, and it became how can I make sure that I'm speaking for as many voices of Leduc as I can? And it basically started with attend the council meetings, join FCSS, pay attention to the food bank, look and listen to what's going on with the Boys and Girls Club, pay attention to the school boards. It became a very clear message to me that it wasn't about mastering one thing, it was trying to become a jack of all trades. And everyone throughout my entire life has always said, Shawn, you're so great with your hands and you're so personable and you have all of these different characteristics. You're a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And I truly believe that I've become a master of being a community leader. And I think that's why my duty to service has been ingrained in me for the 10 years of my career, sustaining health and wellness, making sure that people are heard, respected, listened to, and that they always have a space to be heard. And I think our previous Leduc Council has done great things in making sure that there are safe spaces by putting in what I will call obstacles to having open communication. However, I do feel like that there can be added steps in place to make sure that the residents are heard fully and transparently. Also being aware that our demographic is leaning towards a senior population, and no matter how much technological advances we have, the face to face is what it's always going to come back to. So, to loop back around to your question, it's because it's community service.
So there's a few things I want to unpack with your statement there, and I want to start with this because this is the one area that I think a lot of new counselors, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, I'm just saying this
Mhm.
as an outside observer, that there's a lot of times when new counselors get elected or new mayors get elected that they silo themselves. They insulate themselves with people who agree with them, the people who will support them.
Mm,
But you are there to represent everyone, even people who vehemently disagree with you. You have to be their voice as well.
absolutely.
Exactly. I'm preaching to the choir here. How do you see yourself being able to represent everyone in Leduc, even the people who disagree with the stances you take on issues? Because the role of a counselor isn't just to talk to the people who agree with you, but talk to everyone, even the ones who will yell, and I'm going to burst your bubble, people who will disagree with you vehemently and on social media. How do you plan to represent everyone?
I think it's less of how do I plan, how do I authentically give a response where people can see that my honest goal is to create safe spaces for conversation. So I think that's the first and most important thing when I decided to run for council was it was learning how to humble myself. Because if you would have met me 2 years ago, Chris, we would not be having this conversation. The amount of growth that I've undergone being in these rooms, being part of these conversations have humbled me and instilled a different level of respect for the community in ways that I almost didn't think I could attain before 30. But because of the amazing leaders around me, it's been able to help me grow. So, in terms of all of the topics that people disagree on me with, it's very hard to navigate when I knock on their door and the first thing they see are my fabulous nails and my personality and my charismatic character. I can't hide that. And I've always told my family, my friends, my acquaintances, you can't put Shawn Raymond in a box because Shawn Raymond is going to shine. So that's just the true and awe statement of what it is. To give an exact example, knocking on doors, one lady asked, "Are you liberal or conservative?" My instant response was, well, I really do respect that question. In a municipal setting, there's not a lot of merit to liberal or conservative ideologies. I have been raised conservative, but I have been grown to understand the compassionate qualities of liberalism. But I don't want you to feel like I'm one or the other because I need to represent all. So it's really hard when people want me to say the yes or no thing to them because it's my job to say I have to create safe spaces for everybody. So door knocking has taught me that people will passionately yell, scream their frustrations about what they agree with or don't agree with. And it's been interesting to let people have that space and then them realize that I just let them yell at me for 15 to 20 minutes on their doorstep about something that I don't even have control over.
Well, there's a whole line of questions that we can talk about apathy and people understanding the jurisdictional responsibility that each level of government. But
Thank you.
that's for a different show. This is about you and what you're hearing at the doors. But before we talk about the issues that you're hearing at the doors,
Yeah,
I want to just sort of ask, and I apologize if this comes off as in a weird way,
go for it.
but you said you don't want like if people put you in the box, you will shine. Your fabulous fingers, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure how to ask this questions, but as the gay man, I'm just going to ask it myself.
Yep.
How do you identify, and do you think that will be a detriment to you running in this election? Because what you said earlier on about what's
Mhm.
going on in the community, what happened 4 years ago, and we all saw the CTV clips of what was going on at the council chambers when that council meeting exploded in Leduc.
Yeah.
Are you running to give a voice to the queer community, or are you running as a Leduc resident who happens to be a part of a community?
Column B, I'm running to represent the residents of Leduc, and I need people to recognize that. If the only thing that people see when they look at me is a gay, proud, minority, cultured man, that's all I'm ever going to be to them, and I allow them to think that of me. But I would hope that people have the bandwidth and the aptitude to open themselves up to recognize that a young opinion with an educated mind, with someone with a compassionate heart, is the leadership that this is calling for. The leadership that Leduc has had has scaled Leduc to be known as a sports and tourism destination. Leduc is known for its Telford Lakes, for its green spaces, for Fred Johns, for our baseball diamonds. We collaborate with Beaumont, Devon, Calmar. We are more than just the city of Leduc. We support the Edmonton Greater Region. We collaborate with municipalities far beyond just our city of Leduc borders. So for people to ultimately think so little of someone with so much opportunity, I say to you and be well. But I need people to recognize that I've been instilled in this community since I was a year and a half old. I've been going to council meetings for almost 2 years diligently and dedicatedly. I have read the 350-page agendas. If anyone wants to ask me a question from a construction project happening from the east side of Robinson all the way to the west side of Crystal Creek, if I don't know the answer in about 30 seconds, I can get the answer in 24 hours. So I would really hope that people that see me don't just see nails, don't just see gay man, and give me the opportunity to educate them in a humble and respectful manner.
And I apologize if that came off in a weird way. I
No.
just, it was just, it's an honest question. And that's what my show
Yeah.
is all about, just having an honest to goodness conversation. Now, you mentioned that you've been outdoor knocking, and I want to talk about
Mhm.
the issues that you're hearing at the doors right now. Now, we could probably spend an hour just on the provincial and federal issues that you're hearing at the doors. So let's just put them aside right now, and
Thank you.
we'll circle back to those in about 2 seconds. What are the three top challenges that you're hearing at the doorstep right now when it comes to the responsibility that the municipality has to deal with?
It's so funny that you separated it that far because when you separate it that far, to be honest, no one has any problems with the municipality, which is something that
Okay,
I'm being
then
humbled with
so
because I don't think a lot of people understand that.
let's expand it then. because
Okay.
I want to start there, but then we can move into the what are you hearing at the doorsteps? What are the three big things that are on people's minds right now?
So the biggest thing that some residents are saying is the amount of construction and development that's happening. They're not aware of what's going on. They don't understand what developments are being had. They don't understand the permitting. They don't understand why there's so many nail salons and why there's so many childcare centers and the context of what the city is demanding is in a future scale. So what we see is a representation of a few months back or a year back. But what's happening is what we're growing to. So a lot of people are continuously like, we don't need more. Why do we need more? Why are we having a third Shoppers Drug Mart? Why are we building another neighborhood over by the LRC? Why do we have another high school coming in? And it's not necessarily because right now we're in dire need. There are lots of needs and restraints on the community. But in terms of building the communities, the biggest thing is the amount of construction. The road overlays, a lot of people are not happy with how the construction went over the summer. I feel like, and again, hearsay from residents, they feel like construction workers also enjoyed the summer and that construction workers weren't actually doing a lot of construction. So I don't know how to address that particularly. There's a couple of neighborhoods that have mentioned horrible snow removal, but again, they are in the newest development in neighborhoods in Leduc, so they're becoming established snow removal paths, and because they're dead ends, it's even harder to get to that snow removal. So having those conversations is really important with them. And then the third one, or probably the first one, is the public transit. We have an on-demand bus, we have a schedule, but in terms of what Leduc offers, in terms of what we need to source to the city, most of the education for secondary is in the city, and there's only two bus times, one in the morning, one in the evening. And if you miss either of those, it's an $80 Uber ride one way, and that's $160 a day. And it's not that there isn't the service. So I want everyone to be very clear that we have the services, but the services are not now meeting the demand of the municipality for the growth rate that we have, because we did not expect for so many people to move to Leduc to then travel to Edmonton for schooling. I think the last council had a little bit more of a hindsight of people are moving to Leduc to stay in Leduc. It's going to be great in Leduc. And it is great in Leduc and everything's fantastic. But that secondary institutional development in the city, you can't compete with that. Leduc is Leduc and Edmonton has McEwen, Nate, Polytechnics, all of these other institutions. So I do have a meeting with planning and development to talk about that. There has been some whispers about budget being translated next year into a little bit more focus on public transit. So again, there's things that they're already working on the pipeline. There's a couple of things that they've passed last year that are going to create more opportunities. But yeah, transit, construction, and then honestly, it's kind of slim to none green spaces. I think a lot of people, there's a 50-50 with green spaces. A lot of people feel like Leduc has amazing green spaces. Nothing needs to change. Just keep the amount of green spaces we have. And then there's the perspective of there's less green spaces now than there were when I was a child, which I agree for two reasons. Yes, the development has meant that the wide open farmscapes that we were used to no longer exist. And we have to come to peace with that because the city does have to grow, which does mean annexation is inevitable, which is something
You
that
just said the dirtiest word in municipal politics there, Sean. Annexation. Ugh.
So it's there's a couple of things, but again, it's the growth of the community. And when I speak to a younger demographic, there's much different needs versus the older demographic. Older demographic usually feels like they're getting left behind and forced to change, whereas I'm having conversations where I want them to understand that change is coming, but we need to have the conversations now. And when I'm talking with younger demographics, it's you're doing amazing. You're on social media, you're telling me what the city's doing, Sean. You just keep doing what you're doing. So
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there.
yeah,
But
sorry, I talk a lot.
no, it would be really bad if you didn't talk for an hour long show about why you're running. So let's just put that, let's call that out
Okay,
right
okay,
now.
okay.
So uh, I want to encompass the three things you just said into one big macro issue because I think this is the big thing that you're trying to get at. And I just want to play in the sandbox a little bit. Growth is happening. I see the city of Leduc growing, and every time I drive by, I'm 90% sure every time I've driven through Leduc, I'm like, am I still in Leduc? Because it doesn't seem like this was here last time I was in Leduc. There are some people who have moved from Edmonton or from outside of Leduc to Leduc for the reason of we like the fact that it's, and I'm going to say this as respectfully as possible to the people of Leduc, and I apologize.
Hmm.
Please
Hmm.
send your please send your emails to me. Do not send them to Shawn. Send them to me because I'm about to say it. There are some who might say Leduc thrives on being a bedroom community, that you were so close to the fact that you were so close to Edmonton that you can just hop, skip, and jump there within 10 minutes drive and that you're happy. But there are some people, like you just said, the younger demographic, who say we want to see Leduc become a community in itself. We want to be able to work. We want to be able to educate ourselves in Leduc. How do you balance that aspect of the job of a counselor when you are going to be elected? Because there's a large senior population in Leduc, but there's an up and coming younger demographic there. So, how do you see yourself being able to balance the growth that's there with the reality that some people will just be like, no, we want to keep Leduc the way it is because we don't want it to grow any larger than it is? Because if we do, then we're going to have other social issues that are going to come along with it. So, how do you plan to address that?
There's always two methods to my thought process, and I like to explain it. There's my instant reaction to a response of like, this is it, it's just short and simple. And then there's the explained one. I think for this setting, I'm going to explain it first and then give you the blunt version. For the explanation of it, the conversations that I'm having are allowing them to feel heard, and for the seniors, for example, to first say, I feel like we're getting pushed out of Leduc. I feel like we're a second thought. I feel like the Telford Senior Center is going to get ripped down next year, and I'm not going to have anywhere to go and hang out with all of my friends that I grew up with in Leduc. No, that's not what we're saying. What we're actually trying to make sure that you are a part of the change and the growth so that your legacy in Leduc is invested here and we can carry on the legacies and the stories of you being here. This is a conversation that we're having this year and next year so that the younger demographic can value Leduc as much as you did, if not more, and have more supports in place for them to live an even more successful life and quality of life. And when I'm talking to the younger people, it's about, and I'm going to be a little bit more blunt with my younger demographic because we can usually take it. The sense of entitlement that I have come across is a little bit astounding. And being 29 and usually being perceived as a little bit entitled, I can understand why. The timing of the societal growth from the 1960s to 1990s versus 1990s to 2025, completely different things. The amount of society influence that we had back in the day, and I'll say it like that with respect, is completely different than now. You'll see a mom post on Facebook about a tiff that she had with another daughter from another school 30 minutes after school now. Whereas when I was growing up, you'd have to wait till the end of the week or the end of the school day when all of the parents had to come and pick you up. So the demographic of just speaking to the younger people, I have to be more blunt to them and I have to say, I understand that you want to live, grow, eat, play here, but we have to make sure that we're creating safe, inclusive spaces that do have accessibility ramps, and we do make sure that we do have quiet hours, and we do make sure that we're thinking about our senior population. And I know it's not as simple as just go and hang out with the seniors, because a lot of people have perceived just go and hang out with the seniors. That's not the solution. The solution is integrating the senior population into a cultural development plan that brings Old Town Leduc, even though we're a city, to the city of Leduc on Main Street. And I think that's what the urban development plan is about, and creating the 49th Street Promenade and making sure that there's accessibility to downtown main core where everyone remembers Leduc being Leduc. And I think that is a bridge that I'm going to continuously nourish and build and basically just make sure people understand it's not seniors versus young. It's about a community making sure we can all thrive together. So the conversations are hard, but I think they're worth it.
They're hard, but the one hard aspect of the entire conversation is housing.
Mm,
Housing seems to be a top priority no matter where you are. If you're an older demographic or a younger demographic, older demographic saying we bought our house for 120,000, we could sell it now for 1.3 million. I'm just picking a number. I'm not
yep,
sure if that's the actual house
yep,
prices
yep.
right now. But the younger demographics like I don't have $1.3 million. I want to be able to live in Leduc, so we need to create more affordable housing. Do you see a plan or do you plan to be a champion for getting more affordable housing built. And I should caveat this line of question by saying municipalities do not build housing. They are not in the housing market. They're responsible for the infrastructure, the roads, the water, the wastewater, the quote unquote sexy things that we talk about around the table, the wastewater treatment facilities, the lift stations, the fun stuff. So, how do you plan to address that big issue that a lot of people are talking about right now? And you probably aren't hearing about it because it's not the top priority right now,
Mhm.
but it is a top priority for a lot of people who are thinking, if I want to make Leduc my home, I need to afford to live in Leduc first.
Really good question. And I think the amazing aspect of it is we've just had two presentations this previous Monday from Qualico and August something council for Melcor, and watching their presentations for the 14, 16, and 18-foot developments and the parking pads and the social spacing of what they're planning to do. I definitely support the affordable housing, but the number one problem that I've heard from community residents is the lack of parking and the lack of emergency access. So I think I would like to say that I would be a little bit more hesitant to creating dense housing. I'd be a little bit more interested in figuring out how to create more thoughtfully built residential pathways. I think there are some really good communities in Calgary, for example, that have put back-facing alleys into the communities so that the roads in the front streetscapes are literally just for car travel, no parking, and then sidewalks for pedestrians. In some of our communities, in the older communities, they're double wide. Like my neighborhood, I can park a car on both sides and have two RVs go by each other in my neighborhood. In South Fork, you couldn't go down it with an RV if you crossed your legs and held your breath really tight. So I think having those honest conversations in terms of future development, for example, Crystal Creek and Woodbend are two of the newer neighborhoods in Leduc. They've passed a couple of development plans to put in some townhouses, but they've spaced them out and given a little bit more perimeter between the end of the unit and the next. So it's 1.8 meters instead of 1.2, which it was previously in terms of bylaws. So there is some more space, but ultimately, yes, affordable housing is something we need to focus on, but I really need to be aware of the parking and the accessibility to fire and first responders.
Now, in the conversation about the issues that you're hearing at the doorsteps, the one thing I didn't hear, and I want to sort of get your opinion on it, is the business community. Now, you started your own business within Leduc, so you've gone through all the permits and all the fun things that City Hall has to offer when it
Mhm.
comes to. I feel like there's a rant coming on here, Sean, with that little sound that you just made. But
No, of course not.
I'm gonna ask this question first. Is Leduc a business friendly community?
Absolutely. I think the funniest thing about that is my hesitation is Leduc's amazing because of our development and a permit process. Sometimes you can get a permit process within the week, depending on what it is. So if you have everything organized on a Monday and you submit it by 5 p.m., you can usually get your permit in 3 days. And I'm speaking of that out of experience. Not that I want to say that I waited to last minute to get a permit in 3 days, but the fact that they can do it in 3 days is astonishing. And I think our proximity to the Leduc Business Park, the Nisku development, and all of that creates such a robust economy for Leduc that it really allows people to think small, mom and tot, entrepreneurial, small corporation, limited, or let's go and get investors. Let's go big. Let's take the big shot and let's go a little bit north into Nisku and let's see what that looks like. Can we go into Leduc Business Park instead of being downtown? And I think honestly, it really depends on that business model. I've never heard of a business model being rejected in Leduc. The one thing that I have heard of is not having enough planning in place in terms of marketing to be able to give the city enough to grant a permit for a business. So I think better, well thought out business plans will create easy permitting. And I think anyone that runs into problems probably hasn't sat down and had a conversation with their planning and permitting department because they're probably one of the easiest departments I've had to meet with.
How will you champion businesses within city council if you are successfully elected on October 20th? I know we talk about the residential and being the voice for everyone, even the people who disagree with you, but you're bringing a unique experience. And I'm going to kind of say this, and I'm not blowing smoke. It's truthfully, you're kind of a unicorn in this election. You're young, you're a business, you're an entrepreneur. You can speak to both sides of the equation of a younger demographic and an
Mhm.
older demographic, a business demographic and a residential demographic. What do you see as your plan forward to ensure that businesses have a voice at the table as well? Because there are some younger people who say, I want to start a business, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to navigate the system like Shawn did when he started his business 2 years ago.
Thank you for that question. I wish more people asked that. First and
It's
foremost,
like I do a show based on municipal affairs, Shawn.
it makes it so much easier to have these conversations. Thank you. One of the things that I've really recognized is how much more the City of Leduc, the Downtown Business Association, the co-work workspace, the chamber, all of the organizations that are pillars in the City of Leduc and in the Leduc Business Park have stepped up to create rooms and environments to nurture entrepreneurship and corporationship. So there's startup programs that started in Leduc that have now gone out to Wetaskiwin and to Devon, now expanding out to Beaumont as well. I feel like the city of Leduc understands that we are in this pivotal point with the 65th Ave interchange opening, plus the reduction of the noise permits from the overhead airport. I feel like people just need to say, I want to try and start a Google search. And again, someone's time is worth so much more nowadays than ever before, but I would always offer a conversation to anyone thinking about a business strategy because it really is about how passionate you are of that vision, how detailed you can become, and then allowing that business to thrive. I've been to several downtown gatherings, and the number one thing that I've heard, aside from the displaced population, is the requirement to draw people down to downtown businesses. And that's why I think the Urban Development Center plan is such an epicenter and a need for the community to draw more than people for just casual shopping and coffee, but for entertainment, for casual recreation, for walks that go past 6 p.m. In Leduc, honestly, everything kind of closes at 6, and then at 6, it's kind of done. So we still have that bedroom mentality. You finish work, you go home to your bedroom, you're done. So I really want to encourage people of the community to stay invested and engaged in the municipal events. The city of Leduc hosted about 7 different events this summer, and the results were amazing and it's fantastic to see, but it's disappointing to get onto people's doorsteps for them to say, well, I didn't hear anything about it. Well, are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? No, I only scroll TikTok. Well, here's the City of Leduc's Facebook page. Here's their Instagram page. There were 7 events this summer, and next year they'll probably have the exact same events.
Okay, but I'm going to challenge you on that for a little bit here
Okay.
because I will agree with you that apathy when it comes to the municipal level of government is at an all-time low. If
Mhm.
we get more than 40% of the population vote in this upcoming municipal election, I will be a happy, happy camper.
Yeah.
And that is a sad state of affair. But
Oh.
your role as counselor is to represent everyone. There are
Mhm.
people who just do not have the time or place to deal with the issues right now.
Mhm.
There's a sense that as long as my water's turned on, my
Mhm.
garbage is picked up, and my snow is cleared when it snows, I don't care what's happening at City Hall. You, as a municipal elected official, have to be that conduit between the residents and the people and what's going on at City Hall. How do you ensure you do that? Because that is the big challenge I think the next 4 years any municipality has to deal with over the next 4 years is residents don't have time anymore. Yes, we're on social media. Yes, we're on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok because I'm in a generation that just still doesn't understand it, but that's here nor there. Okay. I'm getting I'm not either. So I'm okay with that. Then I feel really young right now, even though I'm about 15 years older than you. So I'm just
You're
going to.
good. Take it. Run. Take it and run.
So, how do you ensure that you're communicating with people? Because I would be hard pressed to not say that you have not heard, oh, you're a municipal politician running for council? I've never seen a municipal politician outside the election. Last time I saw someone at my door was an election period. How do you ensure that you keep on top of the engagement process during your 4 years in office?
I just continue doing what I've been doing. I've been invested in the community. I've been communicating. And I think this is the thing. We're in an online format right now where even if I tell everything, it's going to be hard to tangibly see it. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, Shawn Raymond Campaign. Once I get elected, if and when I get elected, it will be Shawn Raymond Leduc Council. This will be the page where everything is discussed. I've hosted and held many community hall chats. I've held many different events in collaboration with different partners in Leduc, from Rise Up to Kids Sports to BGC again to everything and anything. CL Whole Youth Foundation, the Links Connect Center, like it just keeps going. I've made sure that people understand that I have been the connector and the conduit between municipal affairs and the residents. If anyone goes to my Instagram page, the first two things you'll see is community events, community addresses, and where to connect with me and how to connect with me. If it takes you more than 3 clicks to get into connect with your municipal leader, it's too complicated. You should be able to reach out to your person within 3 clicks to figure out who they are, whether that's through the city's website to city council to their email, or from their website to their email to an email sent to them. If it takes more than 3 clicks, they are not accessible and you're jumping through way too many hoops.
I agree wholeheartedly, and you're speaking my love language there because, as a former communications marketing person for a municipality, I can tell you the hardest thing that people do is once they get to that second click, if they can't see it on that second page,
Gone.
they're gone. It's not even 3 clicks anymore.
Nope.
But
Yeah.
I should mention this as well. For those who are listening to this on any podcast platforms, or if you're watching this on YouTube or on TV at a later date, the links to Sean's social media accounts will be in the show notes. So you can scroll down in the show notes and you can click on all the separate ones. There'll be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever ones we can find, we will have them in the show notes. So check them out. Highly recommend you follow them. I want to talk about the future because I'm cautious of time here and I haven't even got to what happens after the election.
Okay, go.
You get elected on October 20th. October 21st, you have to then start representing people. What's priority number one for Shawn Raymond councillorship?
Priority number one is making sure that we go through the budget process and include all of the programming that needs the support. And it's not just about what has been funded, it's been about what has had funding cut because of its success. I've been struggling internally with this constant fight with when a program becomes too successful in Leduc, the funding stops. And then they're left on their own to source extra additional funding. And that's a conversation that I've had in closed doors that I'm happy to have in open settings about context. But the biggest thing is that the community needs more support. As a health and wellness trainer, it's my mission to have someone add a quality of life to their life before they subtract something from it. So I'm of the belief we want to make sure we have more than enough before we don't have enough. So once elected, it becomes the priority of making sure that the programs that we have are sustained and that any programs that have not had that success or have had that success, make sure that we understand their longevity plan. So it really comes into, I want to see the pillars of the community thrive. It's not just about the administration process being great and our programs being awesome. It's about everything not feeling so short squeezed.
Okay, so you played in the sandbox, so I have to ask the questions about the sandbox now because
Yeah.
when I just heard you speak, I heard you're going to spend money on programs that have been cut. And the first thing any person who's heard that will think is, you're about to raise my taxes. You
Mhm.
are going to increase my taxes to pay for this. I'm going to ask the simple question first, and I'm going to ask the big question next.
Okay.
How do we pay for service programs that have been cut already? Is it a tax?
It's a complicated answer, but
It's a municipal show about municipal politics and you're running for it, so I have to ask it. Sorry.
I think the easiest way to answer that is yes, but not to the detriment of the residents. For example, the Leduc Regional Housing Foundation for the last 7 years has not had a taxable increase. They rate increased it by 25%, which increased it by about 17 cents per family for the entire year. But on the notice sent out to residents, it stated 25% increase. So now no one's understanding that that 25% increase was warranted and it makes sense over 7 years. You didn't increase it a penny. So to increase it 25% is literally 17 cents a year. I'm very sorry that everyone is going to feel that 17 cents gouge, but I feel like the programming and the services that Leduc Regional Housing offers is essential to our senior population. And the fact that one of the buildings in Leduc is an original built from 1960 and has had no renovations in any way, shape, or form or capacity, and people are complaining that their taxes are too high when we're actually in the middle of the municipalities chart. I find it, again, a little entitled for people to say my taxes are too high when the scientific facts show that we are right in the middle. So I'd like for people to be a little bit more humble when they say, I don't want my taxes higher, to instead say, what are the current taxes that I'm paying for servicing, and how do we make sure that they are essential to the success of the quality of life of community? That's the conversation and the question I would rather have, rather than you're going to raise my taxes. I'm probably going to make the quality of life in Leduc better by making you probably pay 17 cents a year. Yes.
Okay, so the flip side of the question is those people that are saying we have high taxes. I would agree with you. Leduc actually has a middle of the pack tax rate compared to other municipalities, even your neighboring municipalities. You have a pretty relatively medium of the row. But again, some people are struggling right now. Some people
Mhm.
are going paycheck to paycheck. It is the reality that we live in. So the question then becomes not about the taxes, about the government spending. Now, we could sit here and talk about how much the city collects on property taxes and how much it actually goes towards the city and how much of it actually goes to the province with the education portion of the property taxes. Let's take the education portion of it out of the equation here for a second.
Okay.
The money that the city collects, do you believe the city currently spends their property tax dollars wisely?
Yes, absolutely, wholeheartedly. That's a gut reaction response. I feel like the programs and services that we have implemented in the last 2 years of the current council have made Leduc more of a diverse community, and it has created safe spaces for other businesses and other infrastructures to become more prominent. Our French demographic in Leduc is supposed to be pretty proficient, and it's been lacking, and it's been a conversation that has been coming up consistently, especially with our neighboring Beaumont community. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more of a collaboration for that in its essentialness because, again, we are Canadian and we do have two languages. Our community should reflect that. I do also feel that the
Do you speak
programs that
French?
no, I didn't until grade 8, and then it wasn't forced upon me, and I dropped it.
Oh,
To
you
be honest.
just leave. Hey, an honest politician. Don't get that too often these days.
So it is what it is, but honestly, I think the programs that Leduc has and the taxes that we're using right now to offer these programs are being utilized very well, from FCSS to our low income housing to our rent relief to the grade eights and nines free program at the LRC to our coffee and chat connects at the LRC for our seniors to all of the other programs that happen outside of that. I really do feel like there isn't a program that I could look at right now and say, "Ooh, that funding may have been better utilized somewhere else." I feel like everything right now has been accounted for, and it's because of the collaboration. And I think a lot of people forget this. The city council and the city admin are only two parts of the equation. There are also other pillars like FCSS, which I'm a part of as the advisory board member, to understand the implications of those decisions. So it's not just city council telling city admin what to do or admin telling city what to do. There is a diverse conversation in multiple different rooms, from Parks and Rec to FCSS to all of the different organizations, the Duke Environmental Board. It's a plethora of people having conversations on conversations to take back to this person to have another conversation to ensure that this is the right decision. So yes, I don't think there's anything I would change right now in terms of program funding. I do feel like there is a review that's needed because of how much change has been done over the last 4 years.
I want to turn to an area that you're going to have to deal with over the next 4 years if you are successfully elected on council on October 20th. We have seen what has transpired between the city and the firefighter association in Leduc over the last year and a half. How do we solve this issue? And I know that's asking a loaded question to someone who is running for council, and this is probably not something you thought you'd be talking about in a municipal election, but it's something that the municipality is going through. How do we create a safe space for everyone to feel comfortable living and working in Leduc?
First, I'm going to add some context. Even though it's only come up in the last year and a half, it has been ongoing for 15 years previous to that. So, for context, I was 4 years old when this all started happening. So, back then, the way society operated was again different than what society is now. The conversations and the way we communicate about safe spaces and making sure that there is no sexual harassment, and making sure that people are partnered and making sure that people have that respect in a workspace. You have your work wife, but you have that respect and there are lines drawn in the contracts nowadays. Back then, there weren't. So I do have to be aware and acknowledge that I don't know if we could have done better back then, given the situation that the city was in back then. Speaking currently of where we're at right now, knocking on doors, the passion is for the, and I'm going to quote residents, how does a city allow such disgusting behavior to happen? What I'm going to say is that it's not about the allowance of it, it was the culture of what that was back then. It was an unfortunate series of events between so many different involved participants. And I think that lawsuit brought light to areas that a lot of people didn't want to look in. I feel like running for council and understanding who I am and the character and the inclusivity that I bring to every board meeting, to every non for profit, to every community event is the best thing that I can say. Being a double minority, being a younger demographic in a traditionally older demographic setting, I feel like it's always approaching administration, approaching council, approaching residents with respect, authenticness, and the willingness to be honest. And I think you've already gotten a good share of what that is in terms of who I am. And I feel like people need to be very aware of who they're voting for because name recognition is not enough. You need to know the person and who they are and how they operate. And I hate to bring morals and ethics into it, but at a municipal level, it really is about morals and ethics. Do you believe in givers gain? Do you believe in a community at its core? Do you believe that people can help each other? Because if you stutter on those responses, it puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Want to turn to my last question, but before I do that, because I'm cautious of time here and we're almost at the hour mark, and I want to make sure you get your last word in here. For those who are running in the city of Leduc and want to be featured on the Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 Municipal Affairs Show, please reach out to us by visiting our website at crossbordernetwork.ca. You can click on the link and you can send us an email, and our team will get back to you as soon as possible. Or reach out to us on social media, whatever way's easiest. We'd love to have you on the show. We will be sending out emails to everyone's email that are listed on the City of Leduc's website. So please submit your email address so it's a lot easier for journalists like me to get your information. So, with that being said, and that out of the way, this is the point in time when I'm turning the microphone over to you for as long or as little as you want. And the question is, October 20th is fast approaching. We're just over a month and a half away from it. Why should the people of the city of Leduc put their trust in you as their next city councillor for the city of Leduc? And to follow up on that, how can people reach out and ask questions that we have not covered over the last 45 to about 50 minutes?
Okay. First and foremost, I think when it comes to electing for municipal government, it really is about the quality of life that you want. So, really understanding that the people that you are choosing to vote on or speak about are going to be people that directly impact your quality of life in a positive or negative way, essentially. So, for me, understanding that I'm being transparent, authentic, and honest in all of my platforms. What I post on one is what I post across the others. My personal Facebook page and all of that stuff are privatized, but you still see the authentic me. There's no corners or skeletons that I need to hide in my closet. I'm very aware of my double minority. I'm very aware of my flamboyancy, and it's a thing that I think is going to be a superpower in this day and age coming forward. And I think that compassionate take on what it means to be a leader is really what we need to see a little bit more. And I'm hoping that the community can resonate with that message and make sure that they're electing people that have the capacity to be humble, respected, and transparent.
Shawn, this has been an honest to goodness pleasure. I wish you all the best in the coming weeks and days as we head into the final stretch of this campaign. It is always a pleasure to sit down with people who are so passionate and bring so much authenticity to the role. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for taking time to sit down and talk to me, talk to my listeners, talk to the viewers, and hopefully talk to a few people in the city of Leduc. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 here on Municipal Affairs. Now, we hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and gained some valuable insights into the world of this all-important upcoming Alberta municipal election. Editorial note. For those who are running in this upcoming election and want to be featured on this show, head over to the Cross Border Network website at crossbordernetwork.ca. That's all one word, crossbordernetwork.ca, and click the Join the Show page now. There you'll be able to fill out your information. We'll get back to you in a very timely fashion. To learn more about today's candidate, please visit us online and click on today's show notes. For those who are watching, we want to thank you. For those who are listening, we want to thank you. Do not forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platforms, or if you're watching this on YouTube, there as well. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a brand new episode of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 here on Municipal Affairs shortly. Till then, everyone,